It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Monday, November 28th, and this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So what is happening on this wonderful Monday? We've got current news from around the world. It's the Sunday Message Word Study, and of course, 2G Talks with Eddie Kwan from San Francisco. All right, everyone, how was your weekend? I'm sure all of you were able to enjoy, relax, and receive a ton of grace and fire from the Sunday Message. And now it's Monday again. We can restart another amazing week together with the Lord. This week's Sunday Message, I already knew and have been taking action. I hope that everyone just really received a lot from it too. For me, I had a really good weekend here in Malaysia. I had a fun time. I met a lot with the campus kids in one of the churches here. And it was, okay, I'm going to tell you something, guys. It's so weird for me. And it's like something clicked while I was talking to these kids. So these kids are like 19, 20 years old. So I'm like more than double their age, right? So these are young kids to me. And it sounds really weird, but like, I don't know what the right word is, but I'm gravitating towards these campus kids. I don't know why. I just started like, oh my gosh. Like, I just want to help them and whatever it was. Like, these kids are really amazing, running for this history, reminding me of myself when I first came to this history, because I came around 1920 also. And I thought to myself, oh, maybe it's because they're coming at the same time I came to Providence and I feel more close to them. But it was only after we were having a conversation over, was it lunch or dinner? And during that conversation, it dawned on me why I was so, like, I felt so connected to these campus kids, right? And it came with the conversation talking about their parents. And, you know, when I told them my age, they were like, wait, you're the age of my dad. You're the age of my mom. And I'm at the age of their parents. And I was like, wait a second. I know why I feel so connected to these kids, right, that are running for this history. Because they would be the age of my kids. If I got married and stuff, they would be the age of my kids. So it almost felt like I was dealing with my own kids and just having fun with them. And I was like going, oh, no wonder these are like my kids. Like, they're not literally my kids, but that's kind of what the feelings were. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. And then the second thing I thought to myself, which I immediately thought was wrong after I thought it, was like, hey, maybe I'd be a cool parent. Because, I'm like one of those I'd be one of those fun parents or whatever it is. And like these kids, they want to hang out and stuff like that too. And I'm like more than double their age. And I was like, yeah, I'd be kind of one of those cool parents that they'd open up with. But then again, I realized that because I'm not their parent, I'm easier to connect with. I'm not their parent. And I don't have the big responsibility. And I know when you're a parent of a child, you're with them all the time. And this is when they think their parents are like uncool and stuff like that too. So I'm kind of more in an uncle position more than a parent. So I was like, that's probably not true. But I felt that was quite interesting that I was like, wow, these would be my kids. That's like my age. And I just thought it was quite interesting there. But also on top of that, I met some over the weekend. I met some with some members from Singapore, and it was an entire family. It was like the father, mother, child, and like the grandmother and a friend and stuff like that too. And and these people are they're like basically the mother and father are both new to Providence, and we just connected on YouTube. Like they posted in the comment. You'll see it in the comment too. He even left his number on the comment. I think I should either edit or erase that so no one else is calling him. But yeah, we met up and they just told me it was just amazing conversation of how they came to this history through their son. So their son, like I'm gonna tell you guys this. The son is like 20 years old, and I think he's 20, right? And he came to this history through like one of those like Instagram chats or whatever it was, right? Like through social media, like people just posting something, hey, come join our event, like through some Christian group club or something along that line. And I was like, wow, that's really the power of social media, is they just start spreading out these flyers to people in Christian clubs here and there. Everyone gets a DM, come visit this. And this person just was in the right moment at the right time, and they responded to it. And then they came to this history, which I thought was crazy amazing. I really thought that was amazing, right? But what's even more amazing, well, like, of course, he evangelized his parents. Parents are Christian. And, you know, there's a big uphill battle there, but the parents are both in this history right now. But, you know, just listening to them, I was just thinking more and more about internet ministry and how important it is, right? Because these parents, I've never met them before until that day. And basically, the son was teaching them the Bible study through the videos I made like years back in like 2017 and 18 when I was a head leader, right? So for me, I was like going, look, it's so crazy that these videos that I made years ago are still being used. I'm not sure if you guys still see those videos or not. You guys can write in the comments below if you still see those videos or if they're still being used or not. But I just found it amazing that 5-6 years later, they're still being used. People are still receiving grace from them also. And of course, the big thing is, you know, it's the words of God, which last forever, right? Heaven and earth may pass, but my words will never pass. It's Matthew 24:35. And I was just like, it's so true. And we got to start really building upon this social media platform that we have right now. Build it, make it so that we can have more and more people come to this history. So yeah, I found that to be very, very exciting. I had a very, very good time too. Just meeting new members is really. I had another call too. Someone from Indonesia. Like in Malaysia, about 2 years ago, we started this internet, you know, because of the coronavirus, we started an internet like Bible devotional group every Saturdays. And one of the people just called me like, I'm having my passing ceremony. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And I was really, really happy that it worked out. And yeah, it took 2.5 years. But, you know, imagine if we could do it in a larger scale. That if we do it properly, then we're going to constantly have these waves of people coming into this history through these types of internet Zoom meetings, Bible studies and events too. So I thought that was kind of cool also. But yeah, it was a very, very good weekend for me. But my body is dying right now. Whole body is so sore. It is aching. Too much sports over the weekend. And I think I'm going to start focusing more on the gym. Right, more on the gym rather than playing sports because my body just can't handle it. It's just way too much. Like I played, on Thursday it was like frisbee in the morning, and then in the evening it was volleyball. Whole next day I was gone. Then Saturday we had our ultimate frisbee league in the morning, and after I was just gone. Even now, my legs are aching and sore. I don't think I can do anything. I don't think I can play any more sports. I want to take at least 3 days off. But during this time, I think I'm going to start exercising at the gym, which will be a little bit easier for me because I can control a lot more. Once the competitive juices start flowing, like the adrenaline's there, you don't feel your body like getting messed up and wrecked up, right? So I'm just like, you know what? I got to start exercising more, like more consistently, not waiting for like Thursdays and Saturdays or whatever is like that. So actually, I was listening to a podcast on neuroscience. I was telling you about that Andrew Huberman guy, right? And he's talking about brain function. As you get older, your brain functioning goes less and less, and you start losing your memory and stuff like that too. And they say one of the best ways to counteract it is physical exercise. So that's why for me, I'm like, yeah, not just sports. I got to get there. I got to get out there. Get out there, start gymming, start going out there and, getting my body back in shape too. It's been a month since I've last worked out at the gym when I was working out every single day when I was in Vancouver. So I'm getting ready to go. I'm going to start doing it. I've made up my mind. I refuse to have no muscle. My muscles are decaying, right? More than anything else. So yeah, I'm going to get back out to the gym. Sunday message, guys. I got a big question for you guys, and I don't want to influence you guys in any other way, but I want you guys to think for yourself right now. How was the message for you, and how much did you grasp of the Sunday message, right? Just think on your own, like, oh, I really like this point. I like this point. Oh, I like this. I like that, right? So I'm going to give you a few seconds just to think on your own what was the feeling you had during the Sunday message? How much did you grasp, or like, were you moved and inspired by it? What parts did you really like? Just kind of think about it in your head right now. I'm going to give you a few moments to think about it, okay? And, as you're thinking about it, be honest with yourself too. If you are moved, then you're moved, right? There's no other way around it. If you're moved and inspired, because I was moved and inspired, but there's one thing I was thinking about a lot during this message and how it, well, have you guys thought about it? I'll give you a couple more seconds. All right. So this is what I was thinking. So I'm hoping you guys kind of thought about it on your own first, because I don't want you guys to start like just jumping on my idea, right? I don't want to influence any people in the wrong way. I want you guys to have your own thoughts, right? So I'm going to be very transparent about this, how I feel, because, it's over the last 2 weeks, we're starting to know what the situation is like in Korea, what's happening, right? And for me, the hard part for me is, like, of course, the message is still the words of God, and there's points you can take out. How do you live your life? Everything else, like that's all there, right? And the key point is there too. But the one thing I can't really grasp is the full shimjung of what is like the situation through the word. Because there's a situation happening in Providence, and through that situation, we're gonna feel something more, right? So when I talk about transparency, why is it important for me is because if I knew exactly what was going on, say in Korea too, like what situation's going on? What was Pastor Jordan talking about? Like the week before, we're like going, whoa, what is going on, right? So if I knew the full situation, or if I had a better idea of the situation, then the Sunday message would hit me harder, because like, oh yeah, that makes more sense because I know what's going on, right? I know what's going on, right? I know what's happening in Korea, right? And of course, we're not going to ever get full transparency and details, because some things might not matter to us. But if I just hear through the Sunday message, like, oh, everyone knows there's rumors going around, and rumors this and rumors that, but none of us know the rumors. We don't know how serious it really is. So in the foreign countries, we have like a very, very vague, general, or sometimes no idea at all, which makes these types of messages that come out to counteract them, where Pastor Jones come out and say, hey, this is what's going on. There's rumors, this, and this. People are like, oh, there's people trying to make two heads. We're like, whoa, what's going on kind of thing, right? And the hard part about that is just very, very difficult to grasp the full shimjung of the message. So you know something's going on, but you don't really know. So you're like, oh, what? Like, really? Oh, okay, I'm not sure what this means. And it made me think a lot more deeply about how to understand the message a little bit better, and how transparency is important. And like I said, not everything needs to be in full detail. Like no one needs to know like to every grueling detail of everything that's going on. But if I had a general idea of like, oh, this is what happened. Oh, this makes sense, right? And I'd be like, oh, okay, now I know why this message is coming up from Pastor Joan. But right now, I'm on the outside looking in like, okay, something's going on. I don't know what's going on, but she's saying this message because something is going on. And I know it's bad. There's rumors. There's something about splitting heads. There's something about this and that. Okay, so all right. So now I know that the situation's not good, but that's all I know. I'm on the outside looking in, and I can't fully grasp it, right? And I would say it's probably the same for a lot of people in the foreign countries, mainly because when we look at, remember I did the poll for the transparent Sunseam situation, right? And we've already, today's the last day for you guys to write in the polls about it. But it looks like people who are like, have to kind of like dig in to find the information, or is not really talked about in public in your churches. That's 73% of the people. That's like 3/4 of the people are getting like, they're not getting any information. The people who have zero information is 21%, which means 94%, it went up. 94% don't really have any idea what is going on in Korea. 94. That is almost 100%, right, in the foreign countries. And that's why I was bringing this up. I was like, wow, 94% are not getting much information. We don't even know what's going on. And that makes it a little bit more difficult. Now, does that mean we should shout and scream and complain about this? And the answer is no. We need to have open and good discussions about this, and not just saying, hey, how come everyone knows but we don't know kind of thing, because, that just causes more problems. And I really, really hope it's something that we will be able to openly discuss with members from around the world and stuff like that too, because I think it's important even more. Think about it. 6% are getting some type of information. That's it. Just 6%, which is that's a small number. Only 6% in the foreign countries are actually getting some information out there, right? So, and it's interesting because even in Korea, some places are not getting it, but you can easily go into the internet and find that information too, all right? So that's something that I was thinking about too, and something that I would love to open up a little bit more. Tomorrow also we have Provi in the media. Looking forward to another episode of that because we do want to know what's going on. We want to see what's happening. We have like another 4 weeks before Sunseam's next trial. So I hope that all of us will really be praying about that too. All right. So we got a bunch of channel comments. I'm super happy for everyone out there that, especially those that were commenting on the 700th episode. So like we have Yen Yu. She said, congratulations on your 700th episode. This podcast where I got to learn new perceptions on how to view the news, the word, hearing from members' testimonies, and learning about various topics like finance and health was so good. This podcast was definitely a turning point for me in understanding the world and word more deeply. We'll pray for all members to be united upon the word, and we'll pray for you in what you are doing. So big shout out, thank you to you and you. Youngse over there, Youngse said, congratulations on your 700 podcast. I'm truly so thankful for this podcast. There were many times this podcast was my source of information and transparency when I otherwise wouldn't have known what was going on. This sense of community and platform to express ourselves, connect, or ask questions this podcast and channel provides is so necessary and forward-thinking. I'm so happy it exists. You're doing so well, Pastor Sky, and also all other contributors. Doing Victory Rhymes on MSD was also a very meaningful and blessed experience for me. Thank you for that as well. I pray God continues to work through you to make this podcast for a long time to come. Also, Colin said, congratulations. This podcast literally saved my life during my darkest hour. Can't imagine how I survived this year without the MSD 117.8. I even recommended this podcast to my close friends in Providence. Even in Korea here, I can't keep up with current situations either. Negative rumors and scandals spread really fast. I keep praying for our members to go through this hard time together. Amen. Another one, Inulin said, congratulations, 700th episode. I can't imagine surviving the pandemic without the daily MSD podcasts. When I was feeling unmotivated, your positive energy never failed to lift me up. My faith grew as a result of listening to your word studies. I can't thank the Holy Trinity enough for giving you the strength and wisdom to help us all. So a big thank you for everyone for all there's more of these too, but just so grateful and thankful that God saved me through these podcasts also, and we're able to have this platform that we can all discuss and talk together about really important subjects too. All right, so thank you so much for that. Espresso with Sky, last week we had a new video, Roaches in My Apartment, and I hope you guys really enjoyed that one. It's pretty gross, funny, but I hope that the realizations really help you guys out too. And if anything else, I really, if you guys have any other ideas or any experiences, go ahead and let me know about that too. Would love to answer a lot of questions through the Espresso with Sky also, right? So, we're trying to grow the YouTube channel. We're doing a lot of different things to help this grow in a better way. So hopefully all you guys will really, really like it even more. Go ahead, check out the videos, leave a like and a comment below. Would love to hear from you guys too. All right, Provi clothing, get your Provi clothes and show your pride through what we wear. We got Sunseam's Proverbs all over our t-shirts too. Big shout outs to those who are supporting us on Patreon. We have Katie from Australia, Lee Jun from Singapore, and Lily. Grateful for supporting us on Patreon, for supporting this channel. If you want to support us too, check out the Patreon link in the description. If you're on SoundCloud, click the blue button on the homepage. Patreon is a crowdfunding site. You can support the Morning Star Drive at just $3 a month. And at the moment, we have lecture training videos on the site, and the Monday, the Bible studies, and we have word studies too. So go ahead and check that out. Everything, it's, you don't have to do it. It's purely voluntary. Just to listen to this is all free, right? For those of you who voluntarily support, go ahead and go to Patreon and support us there, all right? All right, so let's move on to some member music from around the world. Yes, it is an amazing Monday, and today's featured artist is none other than the Rapture Collective from Australia. Brand new song that just dropped a couple weeks ago. It is Me and My Squad. It's not the entire four of them. It's going to be only Julius Miyumo and also Daniel Patterson, MC One Love, all right? After that, we have Die Wings from Korea with one of my favorite songs from them, Flow, and Renee Lai from Taiwan with a cover of 1,000 Years.
Aha. Okay. 316, don't forget it. About to go to war with this one. I'm ready. I was not against flesh and blood though. But we got our swords ready. Come on, let's get it. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, it's me and my squad. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, it's me and my squad. 7 strands of rope in a knot. I'm not on my own, better leave us alone. I got God, the Spirit, the Son, Jesus the one, the angels of heaven and the block behind me. I heard them blabbing their talk behind my back. Gossip is gossip. Talk is cheap, I ask them to show me. It's easy to tell, they don't even know me. Rarely saw them walking the walk, just talking the talk. I know that they're bluffing. Never mind you, I do what I do. I'm focused on the world, I ain't worried about you. No way. No, we're not the same. I do what's required to pay all my dues. I'm riding the new wave. We're not on the same level, we got different views. I do things in new ways. As soon as I hear the word and get up from the pews. Yeah, I'm never the same, but my heart doesn't change. Yeah, I'm one with the Lord and I'm rapping his name. Yeah, I'll go to the end, that's the end of the game. That's the end of the game. Emptying out all my thoughts and putting on Christ, cause you know I've been saved. No doubt about it. If you're looking for proof, tell the world to come see me. Here in Something, we do things legitly. From Alpha and Omega, we do things completely.
Everyday life of faith, building strong foundation. Spiritual gains. Consistency, we go all the way. It's how we start and finish our day. Don't care about what they say, living out the word of truth anyway. I look to the hills where my help comes from. It's me and my squad.
Here we go, here we go. Yeah, it's me and my squad. Here we go, here we go. Yeah, it's me and my squad. 7 strands of rope in a knot. I'm not on my own, better leave us alone. I got God, the Spirit, the Son, Jesus the one, the angels of heaven and the block behind me. Here we go, here we go. Yeah, it's me and my squad. Here we go, here we go. Yeah, it's me and my squad. 7 strands of rope in a knot. I'm not on my own, better leave us alone. Try and tug and pull, you find there's no breaking me. Solid faith like a rock, no hope of shaking me.
They rambling, soon as our squad shows up, demons be scrambling. Laying down my own thoughts, I pick up my cross. No need to worry, I'll follow the boss. 777, never ending, winning again like it's 7-Eleven. Don't count us out, getting up again, never giving up. So much strength from the source. Like a leaky faucet, so much drip. Grace was running in place, slipping on contradictions. Now I got traction, moving forward victoriously. Conviction, stuck in since prison. Lord set me free, no more cage. Dropped all the charges, you don't wanna tussle. We move and hustle. Talk is cheap, gotta walk it out every day. Show you what we bout, something live. They rolling with 6s, we rolling on 7s. Staying on course till we reach in the heavens.
Here we go, here we go. Yeah, it's me and my squad. Here we go, here we go. Yeah, it's me and my squad. 7 strands of rope in a knot. I'm not on my own, better leave us alone. I got God, the Spirit, the Son, Jesus the one, the angels of heaven and the block behind me.
We go until the end, unending, won't catch us slipping. When it's game time, Holy Spirit assists. Ask for strength and multiplies. When spirits involved, problems resolve. New strength and resolve, no limits dissolve. You thought it was over until we called Jehovah. When my squad shows up, it's game over.
Don't cry for me. Cry for yourself. Me and my squad.
타고 난 내 갈 길은 내가 만들어 내 당장에 나 그러니까 소금 비파 소금만 팍sab을 가슴엔 보석을 준비한 탁석을 홈런 치고 VIP 개마구원 주스 계절은 주스 황금 주스 마시고 let it go 한 발자국 내디 것도 check 고개리 디기리 꽃길이 맞는 짓도 check 너도 나도 파도의 surfer float 대충 모르면 so far so far 우리 사이 우린 각자 선택한 것뿐이야 You're delusional flow that touches my heart flow that touches your heart 넌 언제나 보고 싶은 것만 보고 편한 대로 듣고 싶은 것만 들어 FYI for your information I make the moves of as I go 거칠던 환란은 이미 지나 나의 계절엔 꽃이 피었나 더 필요 없을 주위를 녹였네 계속될 내 아름다운 계절 Let me go with the flow 넌 언제나 보고 싶은 것만 보고 편한 대로 듣고 싶은 것만 들어 FYI for your information I make the moves up as I go I make the moves up as I go Heart beats fast, colors and promises. How to be brave? How can I love when I'm afraid to fall? By watching you stand alone, all of my doubt suddenly goes away somehow. One step closer. I have died every day waiting for you. Darling, don't be afraid. I have loved you
1,000 years. I'll love you for 1,000 more. And all along I believed I will find you. Time has brought your heart to me. I have loved you for 1,000 years. I'll love you for 1,000
And that was Renee Lai from Taiwan with a cover of 1,000 Years, and that's from the Twilight soundtrack. Before that, Die Wings from Korea with one of my favorite songs, Flow, and of course, feature artist today, that is Rapture Collective from Australia with Me and My Squad. All right, so let's get into some news going on around the world. What is happening around the world? And as brides of this history, we do have a responsibility to pray for the world, but in order to pray for the world, we got to know what is happening. So let's first start off with what is happening in China. COVID protests widen in China after the Urumqi fire. Protests against COVID restrictions in China appear to have intensified following a fire which killed 10 people in an apartment block in Urumqi. In the city of Shanghai, videos posted on social media by foreign journalists show hundreds of people calling for President Xi Jinping to stand down. People were seen lighting candles and laying flowers for the victims. Students also gathered at many universities to remember the victims of the fire in the Xinjiang region. Many people have blamed their deaths on the lockdown of residential buildings, something Chinese authorities have denied was the cause. At the gathering in Shanghai, people were heard shouting slogans such as Xi Jinping step down and Communist Party step down. Some also held blank white banners. Though the situation in the area had calmed by Sunday morning, the BBC saw a heightened police presence in the area of the protest with several dozen police officers, private security guards, and plainclothes police officers on the streets. Elsewhere, in several Chinese universities, photos and videos emerged online of students protesting on Saturday night. The largest gathering seemed to be at Nanjing Communications University. The videos are difficult to independently verify, but many of them suggest there has been a real shift in people's mentalities. The open display and demand for President Xi to resign is the most explicit and outspoken criticisms we have ever seen in an otherwise extremely benign and obedient Chinese society. Let's move over to Pakistan. As former Pakistani PM attends his first rally since his attempted assassination, right? So since a shooting against him, right? So Pakistan's ousted Prime Minister Imran Khan has spoken to a huge crowd of supporters in his first public appearance since being shot at and injured 3 weeks ago. Crowds gathered for a rally in the city of Rawalpindi, taking flags and signs. The former cricket star urged them to live without fear of death. One person was killed and several others injured during the attack earlier this month, which unfolded as Mr. Khan led a similar event. The former PM was injured in his right leg and underwent surgery, and he has accused members of the current government of plotting the attack in Wazirabad. Authorities have rejected the accusation and released a video purporting to show a confession from a man they describe as the only suspect in the shooting. At the rally in Rawalpindi, Mr. Khan's supporters erupted in cheers when he appeared after a delay of several hours. One woman told the BBC she had come because Mr. Khan's cause was that of the people of Pakistan, not of himself. And she said, "I am here for a leader who is supporting us." There is one man only who has been raising his voice against all the establishment, a man in the crown said. He is here to look forward. He has given us a vision. The atmosphere was jovial despite heightened security, with crowds chanting slogans in support of the former prime minister and popular Pakistani songs blaring out from loudspeakers. Mr. Khan alleged that 3 criminals were waiting to make another attempt on his life, but he told supporters, "Fear makes an entire nation into slaves." And during his speech, he also admitted failures in tackling corruption during his premiership, saying he failed in bringing the powerful under the law. The event was described as the climax of Mr. Khan's long march, a series of rallies during which he has been demanding early elections. Beforehand, authorities put up roadblocks and urged him to call off the rally, citing the risk of violence. The former international cricket star was removed from office earlier this year after losing a confidence vote in parliament. He was later disqualified from holding public office. He has been accused of failing to accurately declare details of presents he received and sold off while in office, including Rolex watches, a ring, and cufflinks. And Mr. Khan denies any wrongdoing and describes the case against him as politically motivated. Following his ejection from office, he has become a vocal critic of Pakistan's government and its powerful military leadership. Khan remains very popular in the country and attracts large turnouts at his rallies. The government has repeatedly said it will hold a national poll next year as planned. Pakistan has a long history of deadly political violence. In the most high-profile case, former Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto was assassinated at a public rally in 2007. So a lot of this going on right now, and I hope that that all of us will be able to realize all the things that are happening right now. So that's what's happening in Pakistan right now. So there's one more that I was supposed to talk about, and it's supposed to be about Taiwan, right? So give me 1 second. I had it all up, and then all of a sudden, it went missing. But give me 1 second here. So let's take a look at this. All right. So here's Taiwan. This one's a really interesting one. Where'd it go? Okay. All right. So here, this is very interesting. Taiwan's president Tsai Ing-wen quits as party chair after local elections. This is very interesting, right? Taiwan's president Tsai Ing-wen has resigned as head of the governing Democratic People's Party, the DPP, after its poor showing in local elections. The opposition, Kuomintang, KMT, won several major races on Saturday, including in the capital, Taipei. The vote has drawn global attention as Taiwan becomes a bigger geopolitical flashpoint between China and the U.S. President Tsai had framed the election as a vote for democracy amid rising tensions with China. She said, "The election results were not as expected. I should shoulder all the responsibility, and I resign as DPP chairwoman immediately." But she will continue as president of the self-ruled island, told reporters. The elections for local councils and city mayors theoretically have a domestic focus, covering issues such as crime, housing, and social welfare, and those elected will not have a direct say on Taiwan's policy regarding China. However, Ms. Tsai and government officials urged voters to use the elections to send a message about standing up for democracy as Beijing increases pressure on the island. Voters also rejected lowering the voting age from 20 to 18 in a referendum that was run alongside the local elections. The Chinese government sees Taiwan as a breakaway province that will eventually be part of the country. But many Taiwanese people consider their self-ruled island with its own form of government and a democratic system to be distinct. Tensions reached a peak in August when Beijing staged huge military drills around Taiwan in a protest against U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to the island. The U.S. has long walked a tightrope over Taiwan. Officially, it has no formal ties with Taiwan, but has also pledged to supply the island with defensive weapons and stressed that any attack by China would cause grave concern. So the two major political parties in Taiwan, right, very, very different approaches to China. So the KMT, a party of conservative business champions, are traditionally seen as pro-China doves, and they have advocated economic engagement with China and have appeared to be in favor of unification, though they strongly deny being pro-China. Their main rival is Ms. Tsai's government, the DPP, and they won by a landslide in the 2020 national election. And she has taken a strong stance towards China, saying Beijing needed to show Taiwan respect and that Taipei would not bow to pressure. And she was re-elected on a promise to stand up to Beijing. And locals told the BBC at the time that protests in Hong Kong and Beijing's subsequent crackdown on civil rights had raised concerns in Taiwan. So that is very interesting. I'm not sure what that means that she stepped down as the chair. What's going to be the big what's going to be the big thing that's going to affect everyone from that? But she'll still remain as president, and she still will be the champion against unifying with China. Right, so let's see what happens there. I'm not sure what God is doing through that, but let's just see and pray what happens over there in Taiwan. All right. So there's the top 3 news around the world. Let's get into some sporting news. Of course, it's about the World Cup. A lot of games over the weekend. Brazil defeats Serbia 2-0. Portugal beats Ghana 3-2. Ronaldo is the first man to score at 5 different World Cups. He scored a penalty kick as the first goal for Portugal. England ties the U.S. 0-0. Australia beats Tunisia 1-0. Poland defeats Saudi Arabia 2-0. France defeats Denmark 2-1. And Argentina defeats Mexico 2-0. College football, a lot of you guys might not understand this, but it's huge over there in America. But number 1, Georgia defeats Georgia Tech 37-13. Number 2, Ohio State loses to number 3, Michigan 45-23. And TCU, the top 4 right there to go into the college playoffs, defeats Iowa State 62-14. So what is the big question is, we know the top 3 for sure now. It's going to be Georgia, Michigan, TCU. But who's going to fill the last spot for the national championship playoffs? It's either going to be Ohio State, USC, or possibly Alabama. A lot of the other teams have lost over the weekend. Clemson, who are number 8, lost. Alabama won decidedly, but Clemson lost. Who else lost? Tennessee lost. Like all these big names that are there, except for USC and Alabama, they're going to probably be moving up, but we're not sure who's going to actually get that 4th spot. So let's see what happens there. And last but not least, we have NFL Thanksgiving Thursday. Buffalo beats Detroit 28-25. Josh Allen, 253 yards passing, 2 TDs, and 78 yards rushing. Dallas defeats the New York Giants 28-20. Dak Prescott with 261 yards, 2 TDs. CeeDee Lamb with 6 receptions, 106 yards. And we have Minnesota defeating the New England Patriots 33-26. Kirk Cousins with 299 yards and 3 TDs. Justin Jefferson also having a magnificent third year, 139 yards receiving with 1 TD. All right. So there it is, guys. That is the top 3 news around the world and sporting news. Hope you guys really enjoyed. That helps you guys out to pray a lot better. So you know what that means. It is the golden time. Yes, it is the golden time, a time of praise and worship to the Holy Trinity. Hope all of you guys are looking forward to giving glory to God and the Holy Spirit. So, what are we going to praise and worship today? We're going to start off with His will and then Paradise, and we'll break things down with I Have Only God. So, as one body of the Morning Star Drive, let's spend this time giving praise, honor, and glory to the Holy Trinity.
dream, can't believe it. All that I want, it's much. I keep on smiling about it. I'm feeling so excited. Uh-oh.
This is the awesome fruit of the Lord's deep love. This joyful celebration of our rapture.
I'm on this bright golden stage. My spirit is shining all day. I am hit with this heavenly groove. Dance, dance, dance. My eyes are on the Trinity. They look at me with such love. Sing, sing, sing. My eyes are only on the Lord. He looks at me with such love. Thankful I move, joyful I groove. Love is my vibe, eternal paradise. Thankful I move, joyful I groove. Love is my vibe, eternal paradise.
I am happy, so I sing and praise all my days. To my God, my groom, eternally praise his ways. I respond with thanks, assignment, and the love of a bride. To the heavens offer glory, glory on high. We have been longing for the rapture, it is God's dream and ours. With the Lord's great condition, and love rapture is finally fulfilled. This time of love with the Lord is not my true blessing. I love for how long? Eternity. This is the awesome fruit of the Lord's deep love. This joyful celebration of our rapture.
I'm on this bright golden stage. My spirit is shining all day. I am hit with this heavenly groove. Dance, dance, dance. My eyes are on the Trinity. They look at me with such love. Sing, sing, sing. My eyes are only on the Lord. He looks at me with such love. Dance, dance, dance. My eyes on the Trinity. They look at me with such love. Sing, sing, sing. My eyes are only on the Lord. He looks at me with such love. Glory to God in heaven. Love to the Holy Spirit. Love is my vibe. Eternal joy to the Holy Son, Lord. Love crowns are celebrating. Love is my vibe. Eternal paradise.
I am happy, so I sing and praise all my days. To my God, my groom, eternally praise his ways. I respond with thanks, assignment, and the love of a bride. To the heavens offer glory, glory on high. We have been longing for the rapture, it is God's dream and ours. With the Lord's great condition, and love rapture is finally fulfilled. This time of love with the Lord is not my true blessing. I love for how long? Eternity.
God of love, God of unchanging love, you've called and chosen me, loving me endlessly. God of power, God of unyielding power, never forsaking me, you are my help. Mighty God, I am yours to love evermore. Mighty God, I am yours. You're bright for all time. From all the world you've chosen me, and now I have firmly set my mind. I will certainly live according to your will. Mighty God, I am yours to love evermore. Mighty God, I am yours, your bride for all time. From all the world you've chosen me, and now I have firmly set my mind. So I certainly will fulfill your will, my God. You're my Jehovah God, who has led me this far. Please lead me all the way. I'm calling on you alone and living by only your word. With all your authority and your power, you constantly help me. With all your authority and your power, you keep me from harm. You are with me all the time, always giving me strength and hope. I've nothing to fear, because I only look to my God. You're my Jehovah God, who has led me this far. Please lead me all the way. I'm calling on you alone and living by only your word. With all your authority and your power, you constantly help me. With all your authority and your power, you keep me from harm. You are with me all the time, always giving me strength and hope. Have nothing to fear, because I only look to my God. With all your authority and your power, you constantly help me. With all your authority and your power, you keep me from harm. With all your authority and your power, you constantly help me. With all your authority and your power, you keep me from harm. You are with me all the time, always giving me strength and hope. Have nothing to fear, because I only look to my God. Have nothing to fear, because I only look to my God. Have nothing to fear, because I only look to my
And that was I Have Only God. What a great song. Before that, Paradise, and of course, His Will. All three of those songs, great songs that came from Pastor Jones. So I'm really, really thankful for all the amazing work she's doing and just leading this history while Sunseem in this predicament. And I really hope that all of us will not look at her being the person that is leading us, but it's actually God leading us through her more than anything else. So I really hope that this will be something that all of us can take in our hearts and understand we are being led by God in this history. All right. So let's get into today's word study for today, which is on the Sunday message. Very interesting title. I already knew and have been taking action. Right. And of course, the beginning points, I enjoyed the beginning points is everyone wants to know beforehand. If we want to know things in advance. It would have been nice if, like for me, being in crypto and stuff like that, I would have been nice to know when there was going to be a big market crash, right? That's true. It would have been nice to know, right? When the COVID was coming down, right? It would have been nice to know for like the lottery numbers, all those things, like even the World Cup right now. How nice would it be? I would be doing sports betting right now. Like, oh, I know who's going to win kind of thing and bet all my money on it, right? So it's very interesting how it's true. Everyone would like to know, right? And because when you don't know, it gives uncertainty. And uncertainty is one of the biggest things that's kind of like brought depression and mental health into light even more during this time of the pandemic. It was uncertainty. What's going to happen next? Can we eat? Can we survive? Can I get a job? All these things we look at as like, yeah, these are things that we were really, really struggling with, right? And when you look at the world is actually, we're in a place where even though we know we can't figure out the future, there are so many people talking about getting rich quickly and like, oh, if you follow me, you'll be guaranteed to get rich. So it's kind of like we're looking for that safety in the future. If you do this, you'll become rich man. If you become this, yeah, you're gonna beat all the markets and you're gonna have so much money. You're gonna have generational wealth and all these things we hear all the time. Everyone is searching for something, right? We're all searching for it. And this is not just something recently, it's all throughout time. Why would we be doing astrology? We're trying to figure out your future, what your future husband is going to be like, what your future wife is going to be like, what your children are going to be like, what's your job going to be like. We're going to psychics, we're going to people who are into numbers or horoscopes, tarot cards, palm reading, face reading, ear reading, tons of stuff out there. There is, right? Because we're all uncertain about the future and we want someone to tell us something comforting, so that we will be able to get to it, right? And, even when it comes to us being in this history, in the history of God for the last 6,000 years, we still have uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen, right? We don't get the answers when we pray. Sometimes the answers come till much later, and that's why we're praying until the end, because we're like, we don't know the exact time when it's going to happen. It's going to happen maybe, but yeah, it just feels like, ugh. But the big secret we learned on Sunday, and I think this is the key point, and we could even end it right after this, is the one thing God tells us for sure is He will reveal His will in advance, right? That comes through the words of God every single week. The will is revealed, it's going to be revealed. And as long as we live according to that will, you will be prosperous and successful. So you got to hear that again. We already have an answer. It's a broad, general definition, but it is the key for us not to be so, oh my gosh, what's going to happen with my life, right? God reveals His will in advance, and we must live according to that will. And then God will make you prosper and successful if we live according to the will. So God gives us the will every single week, every single day. We're getting that will for the entire week. We got the message for this week's message, and what's left? What's left is from this point on, right? Because we have the will, we follow the will for this week, and we will be prosperous and we will be successful. That's the answer. This is stopping the worries, stopping the uncertainty, no matter what the situation is, even in the midst of chaos right now. Look at Korea, Sunseam situation, you have the North Korean situation, you have the pandemic situation, you had like the big crush in Itaewon. You have so many things going on, and even in the midst of chaos, God will save us, right? God's going to save us. Look at Taiwan. You had this big, this vote that didn't go well, and then you have the president stepping down as the chairperson of her party. Doesn't look like it's going well. Plus, you have China coming down, wanting to take over Taiwan again, right? You have these military drills with the U.S., but then China's also like getting closer and closer, sending jets across, firing missiles here and there. North Korea's firing missiles at Korea too on top of that. We have Ukraine and Russia going at it. All the prices are skyrocketing. All the gas prices are going up. We have like COVID in our areas. We have so many things. There's chaos. Our life right now is amidst chaos. It is. We just heard today about Pakistan. We heard last week about Brazil. They're going to, Bolsonaro is going to be like, he's going to be going against the vote. They want to protest against the vote. They want to take a look at some of the machines or whatever it is. Look at what's happening with America, with the voting over here, with the Democrats and the Republicans, right? Everywhere is crazy. There's like energy prices are ridiculous around the world. Food prices are going up. Inflation is here. We're in a recession. Housing prices. I could just name one after the other. The markets are down, stock market's down, crypto is down. It's all down. It's all down. We're in this type of situation. It is chaos right now. And then on top of it, we hear last week about these rumors happening in Korea about, people against Pastor Joe and all these different things going on. We're like, what the heck is going on? And imagine, guys, let's just put it this way. Imagine nothing was going on around the world. It was just this situation. We would be able to handle it really well. But on top of all these things happening in the world, in Providence, in our churches, guess what else is happening? Things happening in your personal life. Things are happening in your personal life. But in the midst of all these things, no matter what your situation is, no matter how chaotic it gets, God says he will save you. He'll save you. He's going to save us. And it's never not been this way. Look at the Old Testament time. Look at how much crazier it was there, where you had literal wars happening all the time with Israel. Chaos, difficulty, idol worship, but God always said, I'll save you. Oh yeah, you're taken over by one of the greatest countries ever, civilizations ever of Egypt. I'll get you out of there. It's like, no way, that's not possible. And we look at this time period now. The great thing about this time period is we're not really in threat of our lives. It's more of speaking and rumors and blogs and YouTube and TikTok and social media, and people say whatever they want. We can say what we want. People can say whatever they want. But we have to realize that nothing's really changed in that matter when it comes to the difficulties in life. Noah's time, Abraham's time, Jonah's time, right? All of these times we've had these difficulties, and all these times we've been through all these, these crazy things that have happened, and it hasn't changed where God has saved the people. God has always saved his people. God saved his people in Noah's time, those who listened to the word through the man of mission. God saved Lot and his family through the man of mission, right? The people of Nineveh were all saved through Jonah, the man of mission, right? There's so many times we look at it, we're like, oh, it's true. And in those times, how chaotic was it? The one thing that stands certain is the one thing God has told us from the beginning of the Bible is the will is revealed. God tells you, guess what? The will is there's judgment coming and there's a flood going to come. It's going to happen. I'll tell you the will. But if you want to survive, follow the will, right? Follow what God wants. Get into the boat, right? The time of Lot and his family. If you want to survive, leave this place now. If you want to survive, go, right? Jonah said the same thing. You got to repent or it's over. And the biggest difference between God and us, and this is one of the big realizations, is like listening to this, is human beings spread rumors because it keeps spreading, not on an official level, but it keeps spreading and spreading and spreading and spreading. Like people say this to them, and then they say this to them, and they say this to them. And there's like 100 different mouths that are going off. But when God disseminates the will, when he's giving the will of God to the people, there's no rumor because it's one person. And I think that's something that a lot of people are forgetting. It's the man of mission. The man of mission has the one will, and from that will, he just says it, and he's the one that says it, and it's done. Because he's a God of order. Rumors happen is because there's no official announcement, and it just goes nuts. However, with God, there is one voice, and through that one voice, the person that he sends, the man of mission, there is no chaos. It is all absolute order. Causing disorder is not what God does, right? And that's why when you see disorder happening, you know it's not coming from God, right? When there's disorder in our hearts and our minds, when there's chaos in our hearts and our minds because so many different things are going on, you know that's not coming from God. You can't handle all these things, but you have to settle it, bring it all back down to one point, right? It's kind of like how we misunderstand each other. We start listening to all the other people around us, but we don't talk to that person directly. And then what happens? We completely, the rumors spread and there's chaos in our hearts. Oh, I can't believe the person said that. Did you talk to them? Well, no, I didn't talk to them. Makes no sense. We can't do it in God's way. right? If we don't do, we don't do it in God's way. We do it our own way. And we say things like God's way is wrong. Oh, Sunsteam said this, but he didn't really mean this, right? Come on, God's will is surely fulfilled. And he's going to speak to one person about it, the man of mission. He's going to carry out that will. And it doesn't matter who says what. He's going to carry it out. It doesn't matter if all these rumors come saying that's not going to happen. God will carry it out. And that's the one comfort we have. The will be proclaimed by the man of mission. And if we follow that will, we will prosper and be successful. What is the will? He can't tell us exactly because every week the will is going to be a different direction, right? It's all going towards the same place, but we're going to be going in different routes, right? Sometimes it's route A, sometimes route B, sometimes route F, sometimes route G, right? And that's why, the one thing God is certain about is, yeah, you're going to be successful. Don't worry about that. If you follow the will, you're going to be successful. Yes, it's chaotic. Yes, there's things going on that you may not like. Yes, there are things you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? People will say all kinds of things, but it is us that has to follow the order. God surely fulfills and carries out the will. Look at all the difficulties in the Bible. Look at all the different things, people with mission, all the people that were hated by the people, but regardless of how much they were hated, regardless of how much they went through difficulties, God always saved them, and God always blessed those that were going according to the will. And it's true, when you look at the Passion movie, I was kind of shocked when Sunsteam watched it. What was Sunsteam's response? Remember, I was like going, whoa, that's crazy. Because when you watch the Passion of the Christ movie, you're like going, man, it was that bad. And Sunsteam's like, no, it was worse than that. It was way worse than that. And you're like, what? Like, when you watch the movie, you're like, oh, I could bear to watch. He's like, it was worse than that. It was way worse than that. But the will was fulfilled. And that's something that we have to look at. None of the things that we have gone through is anything close to what Jesus went through, is anything closer than what Job went through, what Sunsteam went through, what Moses went through, what Jonah, like none of us have gone through anything like that. And in most cases, all the things happening around the world, none of the stuff is actually happening to us personally. It's just stuff we're being outraged by, like, oh my God, oh no, what's going to happen here? And we have to realize a lot of the times it's not affecting us. It isn't. But we treat it like it does. We have to get our hearts and our minds straight. I already knew, so I'm taking action. Which means that Sunsteam's telling us, I already know what's going to go on, and that's why I'm taking action. And the difference between him and us is we feel like we don't know what's happening. And then we feel uncertainty. We're like, oh my gosh, what should I do? Then our faith begins to shake, right? But we have to realize, he's saying, let me give you the answer here. The answer is, the will is being spoken through the man of mission. It's being spoken out, just do the will. If you do the will, you'll be prosperous, successful, that's done. So now you know what's going on, just take action. Don't freak out, don't shake, don't, crumble in your faith. It's much different than this. The door to salvation is open to those who do God's will until the end. That's why when someone asks Jesus, hey, how do we get to heaven? It's like, believe in the one that God sent. Why? Because the one that God sent preaches the will. And if you hear the will of God, then you go out and do what the will says, you'll be successful. It's done. It's set. But people are going to start spreading rumors. People are going to start saying things that they shouldn't say. And then instead of trying to crumble this history, they will crumble instead. God's history is not going to crumble. Already look at the last 40 years of what we've gone through already. If God was not with us, we'd already be dead. We'd already be crumbled. Already, it's done. It should be done already if God wasn't with us. God's history is going to happen in the end no matter what. But we have to realize that one thing. God's will is proclaimed every week. And if you put that will into action, if you fulfill that will, you will be prosperous and successful. You'll be prosperous and successful. And I really, one of the things I really liked is when Pastor Joan was telling the SS, or telling all of us, reminding us about the resurrection and the rapture and how Christians are waiting for Jesus to come back and how that hope is dissipating because nothing's happened over 2,000 years, right? And talked about the physical body never coming back. And we all know this, right? But it's something that is so valuable for us. These SS need to know this inside out. They haven't heard it like us. But we might think to ourselves, oh, but we already know this. Why do you keep talking about this? Because the SS need to know. That's the future. Imagine our future. The SS don't know any of these basic things that we know, and they're going to lead us in the future. They can't lead us if they don't know. They got to know. They've got to learn about Jesus. They got to learn about what he went through. They got to learn about the will of God. They got to learn about all these different things. They got to learn about the rapture. We have come so far in this history. We are so much better off than the past. Like the message said, look at the Old Testament. Is it that bad? No way. Look at the New Testament. Is it that? No way. We're so much better off. We have all the conveniences. Like I was listening to one of these podcasts and they're saying that like you're looking at the poorest people in the world today are living far better than the richest people in the world like hundreds of years ago. That's how great, like even 100 years ago. That's how good our life is right now. That's how good it is. We're nowhere close to where it was. And that's why we have to be thankful. Be thankful. Be grateful. Right? And I do think all of us here, we understand a lot of these concepts. It's there in our hearts and our heads. And we're like, oh gosh, yeah, I understand this. But it's not about understanding. It's about us to, taking it in and absorbing it in our hearts to the point we understand completely. Which it'll show in our actions. Right? That's the level we got to get to. Know this week's message. It's so deep. And for all of us, I think one of the last things that Pastor Jones said, I really said, what is the last wish that the Lord has for us? He said, your faith was born by listening to the word, so make it solid now. Our faith was born. We listened to the word. We believed. We know this history. But look at your faith right now and look at how strong or weak it is, how shaky it is. You got to make it solid. That's the key. It's got to be made solid. Your faith is already born. You're listening to the word, make it solid. And I was like, yeah, it's true. We listen to the word. We believe. We know this history. But a lot of us are weak, but we have to make it solid. We have to take those words of God, believe in those words, put them into action, make your faith solid. Well, faith comes from hearing the gospel. What makes your faith strong? You got to put them into action. You got to see God's will happening right in front of your face. And the only way you can see it happen, the only way you're going to convict yourself is when you put the words of God into action, you actually see it working like, oh my goodness, it's a miracle. That's a miracle. That's a miracle. I needed this. What a miracle. All these miracles are going to happen. We got to look at it in a much different way than we did in the past. And actually, it's not even much different. Your faith was born by listening to the word. And what's the Lord's last wish? Make it solid. Make it solid. Testify. Put the words of God into action. Show people that the words of God are true. That if you put these words of God into action, you'll be successful. That's what we got to do. And I hope it's something that all of us can look at and say, yeah, look at myself. Is my faith solid? Am I shaking? Am I going to church like I did before? Am I as excited to go to church? Am I receiving fire from the message, right? Am I comfortable talking about the word to other people? Where am I right now? Where am I? And I really hope that all of us here can really understand this to that level. This is a time for all of us to really, really realize the words in such a deep way. And I hope that all of us, we, like I said in the beginning of this podcast, yeah, we might not know all the situation, but this thing we know for certain to be true, right? That our faith has to become solid. And that core message, what is the one thing God wants to say to every single person right now is, I will reveal my will in advance. Live according to that will, and you will be prosperous and successful, right? The will is revealed in advance. I'm telling you early on. So what's he saying to us? Are you listening to the word to the point you understand what the will is for the future? Do you understand? Because if you don't, then how are you going to prosper and be successful in this dark time? You can't, because you don't know it, right? So I hope that everyone received a lot from this week's Sunday message. And if you have any more points to point out, go ahead, put them. I would love to hear what you guys think about this too. Great Sunday message, right? Which leads us into a song that I chose that's very, very fitting for this, right? On this Filipino Monday. Very, very amazing, talented singer, Morissette Aman from the Philippines. And she's singing that song, I think from The Greatest Showman, Never Enough. Great, amazing song. And I think that's the mentality we need is we should never settle and say, this is enough for my faith. This is enough for prayer. This is enough for the word. This is enough. It should never be enough. Right? And this song is sung live on the Wish Bus in the Philippines. So it's a radio station that has these singers come in on a bus and they just sing, right, live on a bus, right? So this is really, really amazing. So I'll leave that description. I'll leave that the link in the description so you can listen to it too on YouTube, all right? So everyone, please welcome from the Philippines on this Filipino Monday, it is Morissette Aman with Never Enough.
Trying to hold my breath.
Wish 1075.
Let it stay this way. Can't let this moment end. You set off a dream with me, getting louder now. Can you hear it echoing? Take my hand. Will you share this with me? 'Cause darling, without you, all the shine of 1,000 spotlights, all the stars we steal from the night sky will never be enough, never be enough. Towers of gold are still too little. These hands could hold the world, and it'll never be enough, never be enough for me. Never, 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 never for me, for me. Never enough, never enough, never enough for me, for me, for me. All the shine of 1,000 spotlights, all the stars we steal from the night sky will never be enough, never be enough. Towers of gold are still too little. These hands can hold the world, and it'll never be enough, never be enough for me. Never, 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 never for me, for me. Never enough, never, never, never enough, never, never, never enough for me, for me, for me.
And that was Morissette Aman with Never Enough. What an amazing, awesome singer. She's one of my favorite female vocalists over there in the Philippines, but I hope you guys really, really enjoyed that great, amazing song, Never Enough, all right? So there it is, guys. That was the Filipino Monday song of choice for today. Hope you guys enjoyed that song, which leads us into the last segment for today, which is, of course, every single Monday, it is 2G Talks with Eddie Kwan. He is in Hawaii in full force. New realizations, new talks. So I hope you guys will really enjoy this. Everyone, please welcome Eddie Kwan from Hawaii with 2G Talks.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another week's episode of 2G Talks. I'm so excited to be here because this kind of marks the new beginning of something. As Pastor Sky mentioned last week, I will be in the state of Hawaii on the island of Oahu for the next few months. And I'm very excited for this. I know I've been building up to this announcement for quite some time. And man, like even the last few weeks here have just been very unbelievable. It's been unimaginable. I think for many people, we've been kind of stationary, right, in COVID, at least in terms of like moving around, and things have been kind of consistently the same for a lot of people, right? So this has kind of really marked a big change. And in the West Coast here of America, a lot of people have been going through this sort of transition too. We've been having a change of leadership in many of the churches, and that entails people moving around. And so I can tell that it's kind of like an exciting time for a lot of people. There's a lot of buzz with all of the people who've been having to move, but as well as the people who are in those places and are receiving these new people into their lives too. So it's so exciting, and I really am so grateful for this segment too, because now it feels like we're connecting not just to the members here and the people in America, but we're connecting from everywhere too. I really want to shout out. So we met. My cousins actually contacted me saying that they met a pastor from Australia who listens to this segment, and I'm really close to his nephew as well. And I heard they had a great time together in Busan, and it was so amazing, right? To really feel that this channel and all of the efforts that we make here, even in the Western nations, connects people in such a way. And I'm very happy to be part of this too. I don't know if you guys can hear the birds chirping in the background, but really this island is so unimaginable. And I really thank God for all the blessings that He's poured down already in the time here. It's so crazy because in one of the things I want to share today, and I think this is kind of insight for everyone too, to think about going forward in the future and in our interactions with other people, but how such a small thing can really move others, right? This, like small actions that you do that really wasn't intended to be anything significant when you do it. It really sometimes the person who's receiving it receives it in such a greater way. And this is something that I've both felt here, like for myself, like the things that some of the members have done for me already. I'm like, wow, like I was just like so moved by those things. And it's like it's little things too. Sometimes it's the things that they do, but it's the things that they say, right? And I think the things that people say are often greater, right? Sometimes they'll say something in passing, and to them they're just saying it because they truly mean those things. But to the person listening, it can be like, wow, like that's something I really needed to hear in that moment. And I think the same thing has been happening in reverse too. There's some things that I'll say, and it's not that I'm intending to say it, to really to move someone or because I think it's something that they need to hear. It's just something I say, on a whim, right? Like in a passing. But those kind of things I've seen like stand out to quite a few of the people here. So I can really tell that people's circumstances are really different. And the more that we have these kind of interactions, the more we'll feel just how important of a role that we have in people's lives, right? And that's kind of the core crux of what I want to talk about today, because like I said, like even before coming here, the members in Hawaii, they were just so warm and hospitable and kind and loving in the times that I've been here, and really like there's something different about this place. I've been talking about this with many people that I've been talking to in person, but this is something I want to share with the whole world. Like Hawaii is so amazing. Like not just the island and not just like the weather and the nature around it. All of those things are crazy too. It actually, I guess that is one thing I have to testify for God about too, right? Like the colors here are just so vibrant, right? Like even the trees and the grass and everything is just so green and it like pops in your eyes, right? Like I was joking around with members saying like everything here is so HD, right? And it is definitely something, even in terms of the nature, that like really seeing everything that God has created here, that people have to come to see, like even just that too. But even more than that, the stuff that I've been experiencing with the members here, there's just something here. And I think one of the main things is that this is one of the places that Sunsunny spent the most time in terms of like all the things he did overseas, right? There were so many different events here that he did together with not just American members and Hawaiian members, but even globally, right? He had like the GACP events here with all the soccer tournaments and things like that, and he set a lot of condition here with all the members. And I think, especially in America, there aren't that many places where he's laid this kind of foundation here. So, whether it's because of that or because this place was somewhere that 선생님 himself wanted to prepare, I feel a difference here. And so even just taking that in, without even having to do anything crazy, there's a noticeable difference here, and I really want to soak it all in the time that I'm here. And I'm actually encouraging a lot of people to come visit too, right? Like people on the island are telling me like, oh yeah, like it would be good if people can visit while you're still here, so you can show them around, right? Because everyone else here at times can be busy, but I also seen they're very tender-hearted and they really welcome people when they come too. But yeah, this is really an amazing place, even in terms of the beautiful nature that God and the Trinity have created, but even in all the history that they've laid out. And there's kind of like a very spiritual feeling while you're here. And so I really encourage people to come visit, right? Especially if you're in a manageable place. But don't take that as like, oh, you should definitely come here. Only do so if it's reasonable and if you think that there's a will in coming here. But yeah, like all of those things that we're talking about now, even in today's segment, they're not things exclusive to Hawaii or to America or like to the West Coast, even though that's who I was referencing. Really, I feel like the small things that we do for people and that we say to people really go a long way. So I think at the core, it really is encouraging because it tells you that you should stay true to yourself. Of course, be kind and be loving and take action on the word and follow the word too. But really, like stay true to yourself because as long as you fulfill the requirements of righteousness, right, and of mercy and of love, as it tells us in the scriptures, we just go along with whatever else that we're doing, then we'll move people in ways that we cannot fathom too. And as a last note, I think one reason why I say this is because this actually solves a critical kind of concern of a lot of places. It answers a need that we have, and the need that I'm in particular thinking about is like the problems that exist in each sphere of influence. Like the problems that exist in San Francisco. I've been talking about this with members. I don't know if it's hit home for a lot of people yet. Like when I think about even between like San Francisco, Hawaii, and LA, I got to spend the last couple weeks in each of those places, right? And I'm getting more intimately familiar with each place. So I see that each place has some challenges, but each place's challenges are somewhat different. And the great beauty of working together in this sort of facet is that the challenges in one place are not necessarily the challenges in another place. And in some cases, the challenges that we faced in one place have already been faced and addressed in the past in a different place. And I'm saying this in reality. And so I have the feeling that if we work close in conjunction to one another, all across Providence, right? If there's a problem here, but we already solved the answer in a different place, and we can learn and emulate from that and absorb it and maybe even improve on the solution that they came up with or modify it for our own needs too. And the same thing for us too, like wherever you are, you have the answer to someone else's problems, and you have the answer through which you can show God and reveal what it is that God wants someone else to do too. And like the thing is, the important thing is, of course, that we don't have to force our way into doing something and changing and kind of like forcing what we believe to be God's will for anyone too. But really, in a lot of times, the answer is just so simple. It's like so small that you might not think of it and might overlook it as being the answer. And so I really hope that everyone can kind of pray keeping that in mind at times too. Like sometimes we think like the problem is so big, and because of that we can't solve it, right? As something you mentioned in the message, we need to have absolute faith, like faith even as small as a mustard seed. I really like that message, and it's funny, even before Wednesday, even before listening to that message, I was already talking about it with some members on Tuesday. Like that exact parable, and really that's what it means, right? And I've been talking to so many people about the Lamplight of the Sun book, right? That's something you've written. It's such an amazing book. It's like so poetic, but it's so wise and it's so powerful, and the imagery is so easy to remember, right? And one of like my favorite lines from that is that like for every problem as big as the earth, there is an answer as big as the universe. And if you think of a problem being big, then yeah, it's a big problem. But if you think of the problem as being small, then the answer to it is easy to find. And so I think that line and that part of the story was just so wise, because it really is true. Right, and that's what the message about having faith all throughout this week, and what Sun Singing told us on Wednesday is really about. Right, we need to have faith, because then we'll have hope, and then we'll try it, and we'll make it work. So I really hope that even though it's Monday for everyone here, listening to this channel, I really pray that the message about faith kind of re-sparked and reawakened something in you. If there was like something you thought like was kind of difficult or you didn't want to do before, take a second look at it and try to see if there's an easier way to think of it. And talk to people too, not even necessarily about the problems, like talk to them about random things after having prayed to the Trinity to ask for inspiration, because you have no idea how even people's passing comments will maybe answer something for you that you were having a difficult time answering too. Well, anyways, I hope that was thought-provoking, and yes, please let's talk more, even in the comment section, and reach out to me too, because I fully intend to connect Hawaii to all the members here talk about like the mainland, right? They talk about the continental U.S. being the mainland. And so I really want to connect the members here to all of the rest of American Providence, but even to like the larger Western countries, and even to Korea as well, because I'm like so moved and inspired and just impressed with the members here. Like they have such deep roots in this history, and they're so talented in many things. It's like some of their talents I haven't seen anywhere else, like in the places that I've gone to visit. Of course, that's not to say that the people in other places aren't talented. It's just that our talents are very different, right? And so I was like, wow, like people need to know and people need to see like the talents and the skills of each place, and like that kind of connection that forms from doing those kind of works. I really hope that all across province that we can continue to do. So I really hope that everyone has a great start to this week, and we'll catch you guys on next week's episode of 2G Talks.
And thank you so much, Eddie, for another wonderful episode of 2G Talks. Hope you guys really were inspired and received a lot of grace from it too. Go ahead, leave a comment below for Eddie. And if you have any questions or anything about SS or second gen, go ahead and you can email him. And there's an email in the description below, all right? So there it is, guys. That is the end of today's segment, this Monday podcast. Hope you guys had an amazing and awesome day. Enjoy your Monday. Enjoy it as much as you can, because it's the first and hardest day of the week, but that's okay. That's okay. Let's do it together here with the Lord and with this MSD podcast. Everyone, enjoy, and see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly, so let's realign. Just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning